Daptime, a time dedicated to applying principles that invigorate, motivate, and elevate. Daptime, a time where dope, adventurous people think individually to mutually empower. Full episodes can be found at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our website at www.itsdaptime.com. Follow us on Instagram at Daptime21, Twitter at Dap_time, Facebook at Daptime, and on YouTube at Daptime TV. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe. Thank you for your continued support. We're proud to partner with Harrell Eyewear to bring you this episode, makers of stylish and innovative luxury prescription and non-prescription glasses for all occasions. For more information, visit the partner link on our website, or for direct, go to www.harrelleyewear.com. Harrell Eyewear. Never lose your identity. It's time.
Yo, welcome back for another episode of Daptime. I am AJ, also known as B-Dub, Bobby Westbrook, and as always, I'm here alongside my partner in crime, the one and only world-renowned Big Dame, and with the needle on the record, always on time. In-house maestro Pete Nice, steady with the groove. The three of us are delighted to welcome you back to another episode of Daptime, where we hope we make you laugh, learn something, and live your life a little bit better. Yo, Daptimers, we are still on track, Rockin' Health 360 2021. In the last couple episodes, we've talked about dietary trends, fitness trends, and today we're going to dig on into getting the right plan for you. Whoever you are, wherever you are, where do you start for your 2021 fitness plan? So we'll get into that. With that, it is now time. Relax your spine, activate your mind. Let's get it. What up, Big Dave?
What's happening, bro? What's going on?
Oh, man, in the pocket. How about you?
As well. Yep.
Good to know.
Yep. Also
good to know. I love that. Listen, man, back your way, there was some news that hit the wire. Virginia is joining the rest of the world in legalizing marijuana. I'm not sure all the details of that, but not that it impacts you directly. But how are you feeling about that as a Virginian?
I'm kind of glad to see it, to be honest with you. Not for my own personal benefit.
Right.
But I mean, it's just, I do know quite a few people that have been criminalized, and it might get them out from underneath, trouble. So, I don't see, I mean, personally, I think it should be legal all over, just because that's just my personal view. It's no different than, to me, if somebody wants to take a drink, you know what I mean? It's no more dangerous than that. But, I think resources can be put to better use than to pursuing marijuana smokers, if you will. So yeah. It's cool. It's cool to see it happening, man. I'm happy for those that benefit from it, and I'm just happy that hopefully those resources, like I said, can go to better use. That's my thing.
I think it's interesting on the heels of us finishing up recently the series that we did, the Dope Game,
right,
and just some of the dynamics around it. As states struggle with how do you regulate its use? How do you regulate policing it? Because there's still some policing of it, right? Mm-hmm. At certain levels, it's trafficking and, keeping people within the guidelines. But the thing that I find interesting is that for folks who are in the industry and, being out here in Silicon Valley, you run across people who are doing all kinds of things in the cannabis business. I mean, everything from creating in-house growers with systems, leveraging technology to ensure that you can produce more within a shorter period of time to get more frequent harvest, mm-hmm. and get that out in the distribution channel. So you got people in the distribution, supply chain side of the business. But at the end of the day, there still seems to be an issue around the financial side of that business, because the banks still, as long as it's not federally legal, the banks are not in a position to still take in your income, mm-hmm. from your drug business directly. So you have to find a way to manage that. And that still seems to be problematic. While the money seems to be great. So if you're on the business side of it, it seems to be a great opportunity, especially when you deal with people. I mean, oftentimes we talk about the recreational user who gets the benefit. But when you talk about some of the medicinal benefits of it, not just physical pain, but mental and emotional strain, and how cannabis has been used for that, whether you've got terminal illness or you have something that's just chronic that you're trying to treat, the access is going to be greater. So you have that side of it. It would seem to me that the government would get behind creating a path for people who are on the supply side of it, so that the business operators could take advantage of being able to really be in this profitable business. But that part still seems to be at issue. So it'll be fascinating to me to see how Virginia tackles it, because I know for Colorado it was an issue, for California it remains an issue, pretty much any and every state where the only people who are really enjoying the benefit of this seems to be the recreational user.
Right. Yeah, I think the supply side, the reason that's such an issue is just, it's like we said before, meet the dealers, right? Who are the dealers? Right. You know what I mean? So it's a fight between the dealers over who's gonna get the lion's share of the money. That's what that's all about. And it's a shame, because the people that could benefit from it, I'm not just talking about the recreational user, but I'm talking about the the cancer patient, the person that suffers from anxiety or different mental or psychological disorders or what have you. They could benefit possibly from the use of this as a drug, as opposed to the chemically created drugs that they're prescribing people now. It could be a better alternative, So I think of, it's funny, I think of the NFL or any sport, for example, and they prescribe a lot of medicines for these guys to help them get over, for treatments to help them get over injuries and things of that nature. This could be a much better alternative for pain medicine, as opposed to, some of the pills that they're prescribing without the risk of addiction that you run into with opioids. So, I mean, there's a lot of different benefits that I think are out there, but I think the big holdup is, again, just it's a fight over who's going to control it. You know what I mean? And I think that's really what it boils down to. So,
one of the things that's interesting to me is I wonder if with the more widespread acceptance of marijuana socially, if you'll get to a place where you destigmatize it within the classification of drugs. I think, on a street level, we understand there's weed and there's dope. And weed is not dope.
Right.
But I think for many, weed is dope. And so, it's lumped in with everything else. And I think for people who've educated themselves, we understand that it is not the same as even alcohol, which is much more like a drug than weed is. You know what I mean? In terms of a detrimental vice. Right. At the same time, I look at how weed being more widely accepted can easily become much more like cigarettes, where, we saw as vaping, especially in electronic e-cigarettes came online, you saw more teens just out. Yeah. Puffing. You got not only vaping, but you got people doing the stuff with the hookahs and all that. Yeah. And now you see in pop culture, a lot more young people just, hey man, I'm puffing. And I think what we risk the same as we do with alcohol and with cigarettes, which have also been legalized, right? But once were these negative vices, or viewed as negative vices in society. Are we going to see some deterioration of some other element of social norms as we get into the space. So you have the trade-off. I think there's good and bad. I think it's a matter of how we deal with it. And I don't think all of the scrutiny that this goes under is bad. But I understand that more than anything, a lot of money has been in the fight against it. Mm-hmm. And so with the money in the fight against it, you know, we could put that to much better use in the areas where you have real hard drugs, the opioid addiction and other things where we talked about treatment. That money can go towards treatment options. So it'll be interesting to see. How do you think, I mean, you know the culture of Virginia, which is primarily conservative. So how do you think it's going to be accepted?
It will be. It's, in my opinion, from my Virginia that I see, is not as conservative as you would think. So, I mean, I think, again, it falls back to, so what they're doing is apparently they're decriminalizing by July 1st of this year. So
something special about that date, Independence Day being right around the corner, or just fell on that day?
You know, here, July 1st is usually any new laws that go into effect. It's July 1st, just as that date always has been.
Okay.
So, and I don't know.
So maybe is it? You think it's timed with the way the state's fiscal calendar is? Maybe the fiscal year actually closes on the 30th of June, like a lot of companies do.
Could be.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But So that's but the actual legalization as far as being able to manufacture, sell, that type of thing, we're looking at like 2024, I believe, before that's going to happen. But they're just decriminalizing it now because they're saying it doesn't make sense to keep punishing people, and we're going to legalize it. I guess it's already it's already been passed. It passed 21-20, I think, in the House. So, but I guess it's going to be 2024 before it's actually ratified and goes into effect. So they said there's no need to keep punishing people, arresting people, you know, and it's up to like an ounce. You know what I mean? So it's not like you can't have pounds upon pounds just riding around doing your thing. But, you know, if you've got an ounce or less for recreational use, it's not a crime anymore.
So again, it's all in the devil's in the details, right? So you're telling me can't set up a dispensary until 2024.
Yep. Now, what does that tell you, though?
But if I'm in the state with the dope, I had to get it somewhere.
Right.
So, I mean, everybody's not going across state lines to buy their dope.
Yeah.
Again, dope being just urban vernacular, not putting this in the category of crack or heroin.
So here's the thing. As far as the growing goes, you can grow up to 4 plants. Up to 4, because I guess that's deemed a recreational amount. So you could actually grow up to 4 plants on your property. No more. Okay.
So now
this is after July 1st.
If I have it, I have to basically say I grew it.
Yeah, I grew it, or if you purchased it. So, for example, in Washington, D.C., it's legal. D.C. is right next to us. So maybe you.
Well, okay, right. It's right next to people in like Fairfax County. It's not really right next door for people in Southern Virginia.
Well, maybe I went to Fairfax and my friends had some and they gave me some. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not.
I mean, the stories, I get how you can navigate around a loophole.
Right.
I guess part of what I'm getting into is, you know, there's if you don't know the loopholes and you're caught with it, you could still be stuck.
If you say, my boy JoJo sold me this right down the street, it's gonna be an issue. It's gonna be an issue.
Right. For you and for JoJo.
Right. Or if you have more than an ounce, it's gonna probably be an issue. But that's where we are now, you know?
Which is probably really tethered to, I mean, again, because I remember when it first, you could get a dispensary card here, I believe. But even then, it was kind of like you guys' law. Like if you had a dispensary card, you could buy and basically have on your possession at any time a certain amount. Maybe it was like an ounce or whatever. And I don't think it's much different than that now. Like it's equivalent of you could have a pack of cigarettes, right?
Right.
Or whatever when it, you know, you could maybe be with a pint when they first started coming with alcohol, because it had to be deemed personal use,
Right.
because it was coming out, especially with alcohol, it was coming out of a bootleg era. So we got to know you're not a bootlegger, right? So if you got a pint or you got a bottle, okay, that's yours. But if you traveling with a 12-pack, you're probably selling. Right. So if you're rolling with an eighth, you're probably selling. My problem with that is, reaching back into my days, they're an eighth is probably what most people would have on them if they were buying for themselves, right? You might buy your supply, have your supply, so you could have an eighth on you reasonably, but it's all for recreational use.
Right.
Hopefully, people are smarter than that, but it seems like there's still a lot to work out. Do you think that? And this is again dealing with the culture there. I've seen more cases. I think I was telling you not long ago. I left the house, had the sunroof open, windows down, and was driving up the block from my house, and somebody was burning so hard on the street that as I passed, I was like, "My God, that is the sticky icky,"
right?
But here. And it was funny to me because as I drove, I caught the whiff. And then of course, as you do, when you catch a whiff, you look around.
Right.
And I noticed everybody within that area, people walking past, were like, oh, who's burning? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's one of those deals where you're mindful of, but this is California, right? So I'm wondering how some of your more conservative Virginians are going to respond when they're out at their favorite watering hole or their favorite diner, and people are making use of their newfound liberty.
It's going to be the same way. It's going to be the same way. If it's going to be, it's legal in DC, and I go to DC. I haven't been recently within the last year or so, but yeah, it's been that way when I go up there. You go up there, you might be driving somewhere, you might be walking. Somebody rides past, the windows are down, and it's just like, man, they shouldn't even be in the car with that. It's so strong.
Right.
They shouldn't be driving, that's for sure. But it's like, it's the same type of deal, and it's going to be the same thing here. I mean, people smell it, they know what it is, and it's going to be like, whoa. But I wonder. The thing for me that makes me wonder is, were cigarettes like that when they first open that up, or whatever, I mean, that smell.
Shoot, man, the cigarettes are like that in California now. I mean, they're locking down on cigarettes now, where you got smokers out here looking like, they might be caught out without their papers. I mean, people are open. Was at a little coffee shop, man, probably a few months ago, sitting out working, man. And, you have a little outside area that you're working. So I sit down my laptop, man. And you smell, you can smell somebody has lit up, right? Mm-hmm. And, man, lady next to me was vocal. This person had to be, they're out by the curb by their car, right? So give them 30 feet. And she was just like, oh, this is just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Polluting our air. And I'm thinking like, yo, there was a time where that dude could walk in. He could be in the restaurant with you. You know what I mean? There was a time where I remember on a plane, which I think is funny to me now, that you could be on a plane and the smoker section was in the back of the plane.
It's crazy.
And you're thinking like, I don't know how we thought the smoking section was really saving people. Like, well, I'm in row 9.
Right.
I'm not in the smoking
like we're not
section,
sharing the same air on this plane. But let me ask you though. So how do you feel about that? I mean, so is it a situation where, they're 30 feet away? If my nose is sensitive to it and I smell, do they have that right to smoke? They're not in the building. They're not in the restaurant, in the bar, wherever, smoking. Right. If they're in the parking lot, walking down the street, do they have a right to legally indulge in their cigarette?
So I feel like, as an ex-smoker, I feel like it's a person's right. I never, even when I was a smoker, I never felt like that wasn't my vibe. I didn't like to get down like that.
Right.
But I understand people's privilege and freedom, and they, it's like, we all want what we want for ourselves and our comfort, and it's nice to have people around us reasonably sharing our values. Right. But we also know I'm gonna be me no matter what, right? So let's take it away from cigarettes, let's take it away from weed. If I'm enjoying Earth, Wind, and Fire on a sunny day, right, really enjoying Earth, Wind, and Fire, or Maze, maybe my volume is up and my windows are down. And so now we're enjoying. And I'm not really tripping on whether or not that's your vibe or not. You know what I'm saying? But hey, it's part of my day. And for those few seconds, yeah, you're gonna feel my vibe. Now that can make me, to some people, classless, immature, whatever. But that's my flavor. And I think that now the same thing can be said when, someone else is coming down and they're feeling their vibe, and maybe their flavor is not my flavor. And for the few seconds we're at a stoplight, I'm into Metallica for a few seconds, or I might be feeling, some Tejano music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so again, it's lighter and it's more, but I think sometimes we get so immersed in the world has got to be the way I see it all the time, right, that we feel like for those few seconds that we're inconvenienced by someone that we have to share the world with, we have the right to impose a value on them expressing their freedom, rather than stepping back and being like, hey, that's your thing. Mm-hmm. And whatever has you in it's kind of like the Stephen Covey story in 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, when he talked about being on the train and seeing this dude's kids running around, disturbing other passengers. Well, in his mind, it's like, yo, money, you don't want to get up and get your kids?
Right. Right.
Not knowing what their journey was at that moment. How do I tell them that their mother just died? Or, which is, I think, the way the story went. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why that cat feels like smoking 30 feet away from me is the thing to do. If it's that big of a problem and it's bothering me, I need to leave. This ain't my house. You know what I mean? This is space we share.
Right. I was just curious because I know, if you're walking down the street or if you're at a festival, people can smoke. They're outside.
Right.
It's not like,
right.
So I was just curious your thoughts on that, because I'm the same way as an ex-smoker. I feel like people have their rights. Now, don't blow it in my face. Don't be all around me and my kids blowing it, But if you're mindful, if you're going over, kind of segregating yourself and enjoying you smoke. That's what we've come to.
Policing.
That's what we've come to, It's segregate smokers. Right. So if you're doing that much, at least walking off to the side, I can't be mad at that, man. We gotta I don't know how. I don't know how you have a right to be mad about that, but
I feel you. Want to shift gears real quick and give you an Ask Big Dame. We are doing Health 360 right now. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to come at you with this question. What do you think are the top 3 things that when people have to make major dietary changes are their biggest cravings?
The biggest cravings?
Yeah, on average, like for, people are going to be unique in different ways, but on average, what do you think the top 3 things that almost everybody would say, this is what I miss?
Sugar.
Okay.
Many forms, in any form. Alcohol. Fried foods.
Mm-hmm. Sugar, fried foods, and alcohol. Mm-hmm. Many forms. Mm-hmm. When you made your decisions and you started making your shift, what was the thing you missed the most?
Probably sugar. Probably sugar. Yeah.
And was it like, were you like a dessert guy, a candy guy, or it didn't matter?
So I probably have a problem. I recognize that. I'm just saying, I'm man enough to admit, my faults. But I binge on sweets, man. I have a tendency to, when I get in my mode, man, I can go. on and
Right.
and you know, I'm vegan, so I do the vegan ice cream. That's why I tell people, just because somebody says they're vegan, that doesn't mean they're small, doesn't mean they're healthy. You know, they got vegan ice cream, Oreos are vegan. There's so many different candies and sweets that are technically vegan, and I found all of them. You know, and so yeah, man, yeah, that probably was it for me. Sweets is probably my big thing.
It's funny because, as you know, I'm still young in my journey. I'm only weeks into, I think 8 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, you know, like with the fruit and even some of the juices that are, you know, loaded with vegetables, the juice that we're actually going to have on the DAP 30 plan for people. We'll talk about that during the feature. You know, it's not lacking natural sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is funny. Like, there's things that'll pop up on you, and the craving, it didn't come right away. It wasn't like, the first few weeks there was like no real craving. But what I've noticed is that as you go along, craving kicks in, and it's amazing how, if you really take the time to think about it, when the craving hits, like, you really want that thing. And so, like, I've wanted a pizza, man, for probably 4 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought, like, man, it'd be great to have a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the dough, the crust, the pepperoni, like, it just, oh man, a pizza would be off the hook.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I haven't had one. Like you, if I were, when I'm in my mode on some, and really it's ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
It really is just ice cream. Like, I mean, every now and a cupcake or some cake is cool too, because I definitely enjoy those. But some ice cream. So I got week 2 or week 3. I was up in Whole Foods and copped these vegan cookies, all organic. When I say disgusted, that was
Really?
like ticked all the way off. Ticked. But here's the thing. I tried to sell myself for 2 bites. Like, I was really doing the Big Bob's used car move on myself for 2 bites of that cookie.
Right.
Because it was, you know, I mean, listen, I know there was no real fat butter in there, and I knew that, you know what I mean? But I was like, hey, this is not bad. Bite 1.
Right.
But then when I swallowed, you know, like that satisfaction you get when something got all that real good fat milk in it,
Yep.
that good processed sugar wasn't there. So I was like, it wasn't bad, but it was cool. Drank some water, had a second bite. And by mid chew, I was putting the rest of the cookie in the bag, and I knew I have no more of this.
Right.
I'm not having no more. I threw them cookies out, man. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And it's funny, like, I ended up concluding, like, it's not worth it. It wasn't worth it to me.
You know, it's there are some good versions out there. I've had like chocolate chip cookies from Whole Foods that were actually good, vegan ones that were good. But yeah, maybe it's an acquired taste. You got to give it some time, you know.
Here's what I concluded. I was like, look, because of how I know I am, it's like this. I got to the point where, because I love my fried chicken, I know I can fry chicken, right? Mm-hmm. There's only a couple people in my life who I trust to fry some good chicken, right? Brown cooks some amazing fried chicken. Lowe's can fry some chicken. You know, family members, you know. I won't go to a restaurant and buy fried chicken. I won't even take the crapshoot. Oh man, they got good fried chicken. Won't do it. Will not do it, because I know it's going to be short. And so I feel like this. I'm like, when I hit my goals and I feel like, okay, I can start reintroducing some things that I love, I would rather bake me my peach cobbler or my sweet potato pie and have it than to you know what I mean, as a treat.
Right.
It's not worth it. Like, the craving tells me what I want. But I think to get to that point and really enjoy what you really want is more satisfying than to try to cheat. And I think
Absolutely.
for me, I get better benefits. But I was curious. I just thought, hey, let's ask Big Dave. He knows because he's the expert.
Not even. But I will tell you one thing I've been craving lately, and it's funny because I haven't eaten meat, I would say, in over 5 years now.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's been at least over 5 years, at least, that I haven't eaten any meat, and that includes fish. Because a lot of times when I tell people, or somebody asks me, "You don't eat meat? You vegan? You don't eat?" No, I don't eat meat. And they say, "What about chicken?" That too,
Right.
or
Right.
they say, "What about not even fish?" Again, but yeah, that's one thing I've really had a craving for lately is fried fish. A piece of fried whiting fillet with some hot sauce and a couple slices of bread with it. Yeah, it's been on my mind, brother. If I ever slip,
I was concerned because you got
yeah.
so serious. I'm like, oh.
If I ever slip, it's gonna be behind. You're gonna find a couple fish bones around me. I'm telling you. It's gonna be behind a piece of whiting. I'm telling you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
Oh man. Fishing Game is now on alert. They're
Man,
like, catch you out late night with a pole.
deny me a license. Don't let me out there.
Look, man, we said that we were going to be committed to spotlighting autism and diversity. In last episode, we talked about the diversity movement, which is a great place helping companies for diversity spotlight. This episode, I want to get back on autism, man. The autismsociety.org, great resource. Looking at autism, one of the things we wanted to spotlight is not just to highlight for awareness sake, but to give listeners an opportunity to know how to get involved. And I think sometimes when people think of autism, if you come across it, usually it's isolated to wherever or however they've experienced it or seen it. And there's a wide range. I mean, you have high functioning autistic people who, for all intents and purposes, when you come across them, you'd never know. You have people as amazing as Amanda Haranath, who we would love to get back on this month to share a poem with us, who did poems for us at the end of last year and is also autistic, but living a thriving in life and accomplishing great things. But you also have people who are nonverbal, who are working through life with a different set of challenges and obstacles to overcome. The autismsociety.org is a great resource for people to go and not only learn more about autism, but find out how they can get involved, either through donation or support in their local areas. So one is awareness. The other is how do you get involved and do something about it. And the reason it's important to do something about it is this is a group of people that are usually incredibly bright, incredibly gifted, and misunderstood. And if we just put in a little time, we can help a segment of our society that gets often overlooked and a segment of society that is supporting them that is often underappreciated. So take a look at the autismsociety.org. Learn more today. Big Dame.
Yes, sir.
Keep it live. Maybe this whole episode might be the ticked off episode. First, we got cravings that have us upset. Now, here's something in the community that's upset. And for those who are new to Daptime, our Keep It Live segment, we talk about politics, social events, and lifestyle stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I've said before, I live in the Bay Area, I live in Silicon Valley. And one of these mega tech companies that the world knows about has been buying up or getting the long-term leases and renovating a lot of real estate. Like everywhere you look, they've got a slap a sign on it that's their building.
Okay.
Totally fine with that. That means they're employing a lot of people and growing and doing well, and that makes sense. Then as part of their renovation, they create these beautiful, and I mean by beautiful, I mean pristine sports complexes outdoors. I mean like the sweetest outdoor hoop area, turfed out sports field for soccer and flag football or whatever, and a play area and training area for people who are doing CrossFit. Like this is just adult jungle gyms outside all over the place.
Okay.
Then they fence it off, lock it, so that it is only accessible for their employees.
So these areas, these adult playgrounds, if you will, are they like behind the building?
No.
Or are they near one of the facilities, or they're just public areas, or were once public areas? that
public areas
have been bought and transformed.
Yeah. So like in one area that I'm thinking about in particular, like it's near an area that very beautiful lake behind there. They didn't fence off the lake. Lake still public access. Go out there. There's a golf course out there. There's ducks. It's natural habitat. And so, but the whole area around it, you used to having tech, as long as I've been down there, they've had tech companies around there, but this was a part of the public space that people could walk trails, they could cut through, and they fence it off. And it's really it's a really beautiful field and adult playground. But what it made me think about is, when we were growing up, you could find a park in almost every neighborhood, right? Every neighborhood in the city had a big park. You could go out there, you could hoop, you could play flag football, you could see softball games, whatever. And I understand there's a responsibility the company would take if somebody got hurt on that. But, if you're investing in the community, then invest in having security there, invest in having your people. Give a job to somebody in the community if you want to make sure that you're responsible. Your job is going to be to make sure it's locked up at 10 o'clock, opened up at 9, whatever, right? But rather than pay $15, $20 an hour for somebody to do that, they just put a lock on it and only our employees can use it. And I think there's something wrong about that when you're taking up so much real estate, and your presence is driving up the cost of living for what was once a bedroom community. So I wanted to ask you a question. What do you think these tech companies' responsibility is to the communities that they move into?
I think the responsibility is to invest in the community. And that's not how you do it. So I think, let me ask you this. You said they fence it off and lock it. So is it a situation where the employees have badges and they're bad? They can swipe their badge and they can get in?
Yeah.
Okay. So how hard would it be to program that lock to from dusk to dawn, only our employees can get in, right? It's locked. It's not open. So, but during the day, summertime, spring break, like we're dealing with right now, kids in the neighborhood, they're walking by, they want to play basketball, they can just walk in. You see what I'm saying? How hard would that be? You still don't have to pay $15, $20 an hour for somebody to be out there to open it up, to close it. It's just a matter of resetting the program on the lock. I think it's unfortunate because I think it's almost this is why people don't like gentrification, right? Because this is the type of stuff that people are afraid of. So you have kids who've probably been in this community for however long. You've walked up and down these streets, you rode your bikes through these neighborhoods, whatever the case may be. You've rode through these open spaces, and then all of a sudden now some company comes in and says, "Oh no, this is not free to you. You can't use this area anymore. This is my neighborhood. This is my, as a kid, that's how you're feeling. This is my stuff, So then all of a sudden there builds that animosity where it's like us against big business, right? That develops that whole type of thing. Whereas if the company would just take a different approach, you could build value in the community and gain support from the community at the same time. And I think it would be a win-win for everybody. So I just think it's a missed opportunity to grow together. And you're kind of drawing battle lines instead of building relationships, in my opinion.
That's my concern, is that I think and what we've talked before, we were talking about politics, and it's stirred in me is a desire to get involved in raising that awareness. Because I think sometimes we rush to react and do what you and I do, right? We'll talk about it right now and steady be steaming underneath the surface,
right?
But then go and find a way to adapt, right? But I think in light of what we talked about, and I believe it was the last episode of Health 360 where we asked the question, will the gyms change? Will there be a new experience? And for some of the things that, now that we are into going outside and still want to do outside, we've got to require more. And I think the way to require more is getting involved. And so what it stirred in me is I think I want to get involved in finding a way to put it out there, to make them aware. Look, are you mindful of what the perception is? Like, even if this is not your heart, now maybe it is your heart, but are you mindful that this is the perception? And if you aren't, This is the perception. And
Right.
this is a suggestion on how we can do something about it. But I'm open to yours because I think more is done if you're not just seen coming by the community, giving out ice cream cones at the local Baskin Robbins to school kids, or showing up, dropping off laptops. Those things are great. And I don't think they should stop. But I think when you open up your opportunity, say, hey, we're providing an opportunity for you to come and be around our culture, to experience it. We're not just here buying up real estate. We're here helping to improve your experience. And hey, by the way, since we are a multi-billion-dollar global company, we can afford to have somebody keep it clean,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure it's safe. Willie the wino is not going to be up here drinking on a 40 while you're out here playing, and you don't have the risk of these things happening, right?
Right.
That's responsible to me, right? And I think that can be done.
Well, and I think that's what's lost a lot today is the fact of sharing and sharing alike, right? So a company comes into a area that's not their home, but they've been there for quite a while now, but it's not their home innately. And you come into this community and you uproot things, right? So you can uproot things and just be a menace, or you can uproot things and change them for the better, right? So
Right.
this particular
Right.
company has the opportunity to change for the better. I think, when you talk about they have enough money where they can hire somebody to keep it clean or keep it tidy or whatnot, you just provided a job, probably for somebody in that community. So that's
Exactly.
how you invest. You know what I'm saying? That's how you show, hey, we're a part of, we're here. We understand. We're respecting your space. We're respecting you as a people. We're respecting you as a community. You'll probably get more respect in return as an organization from that community. You know what I mean? So I just think it has to go hand in hand. We can't have this whole mentality of he who has the most. But again, it's a business. We got to go back to that. It's a business, and you say it so well, so eloquently. America is a business, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that right here. We have the money. We can do what we want, and you can't do anything about it. And unfortunately, that's the attitude of a lot of people.
I go back to the story of years ago, probably my first or second year of marriage. I would go late afternoon. You get off around 4:30,
Mm-hmm.
and there was American Century had an office over in this same area, and in the back part of the parking lot they had 8 courts, 8 courts. And so I would go out there because I could shoot around. I used to love to shoot around just on my own before I go home, whatever, or go home, change, go back, shoot around for an hour or so. And the American Century guys would come out and they would hoop at the end of the day, right? They would come out, had little things. And so one day, I don't know if they were short or not, but they were like, hey, bro, you want to join us and play? I'll go up and down the court with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it turned out to be so cool. So mind you, this open area that everybody in the area could use. Mm-hmm. Nobody was coming by with a golf cart. Let me see your badge.
Right.
Like it was
Right.
just, and we would play. I forged some really good relationships with the guys there. And we were sharing in kind of the experience of being in Silicon Valley, working hard, understood one another, coming from different walks of life. Some dudes lived in the East Bay. And the hoop was great because it allowed them to decompress from the day's work before they got on the road in a long commute home. Other guys were on the upward swing. Oh, I've been here about 2 years on my grind, still learning the Valley. And all coming together around a shared love, common bond for that. So I think there's a missed opportunity. And it's an opportunity that we can take advantage of with the conversation. So I'm going to get involved and I will update you on that. But sure. Being respectful over time, want to definitely give a quick shout out to our partner, How We Feeling. Always on time. They are doing amazing things. How We Feeling is a platform really establishing a place for you to have authentic engagement online. Doesn't matter what you are trying, and it's all around your journey, right? So think about, we're doing Health 360 right now. Some people are on their health journey and they're trying to become more flexible. Others are trying to become more slim and trim. Others are, hey, I just need to know where to get started. Wherever you are on your journey, you kind of set these notes up almost like Post-its virtually, and can create conversations from people that you're networked with, connected to, who have insight. And How We Feeling is really giving a chance for authentic engagement online in a way that we have not seen before. So visit them today, www.howwefeeling.com. Everybody's got a journey. Everybody's got a story. Just change where you're sharing yours online today. Big Dame, our feature conversation, I've been excited about this since we talked about it in pre-production. The Health 360, how do you choose the right plan for you? There are a bunch of plans out there, bunch of ways to start. But when you think about suggestions that you would give somebody as a way to start, where to start, and figuring out what's right for them, what are some of the few keys you would say that you need to know this, you need to assess this before you choose a plan?
Well, so it's two things. If you're looking to, no matter what you're doing, if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to just transform your figure, either way, there's two things you have to do. Your diet has to be on point, and your physical activity has to be on point. When I say on point, I don't mean you have to have 2-a-day practices every day. Train twice a day. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to eat green beans and drink water all day. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is you have to be mindful of both of them. So I think the first thing you have to keep in mind, I would focus more on the diet first, for the simple fact that what you put in is going to determine what you get out of your body. So I think the first thing you have to do is assess what you're currently doing, so you know what you need to change. You may not need to change anything. Maybe you need to just change portions. Maybe you're eating okay, but you're eating good, but instead of a bowl full of rice, maybe just a couple spoonfuls of rice. You know what I mean? It's like and really that happens a lot. I think people, everything things in moderation aren't bad, but a lot of times we tend to overdo. You know what I mean? If you want a steak, that's not a problem necessarily, but you don't need a 20-ounce ribeye. You know what I mean? That's
right.
It's just all in how you look at it. So I think you need to take do an assessment of what you currently eat. And maybe you don't eat enough. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. But once you assess what you currently eat, then you can start to do the work as far as looking at mapping out what your new diet would be. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. As we talked about in pre-production, there's a lot of resources available where people will actually tailor your diet for you. Doesn't matter if you're vegan, vegetarian, meat eater, however you eat, they'll tailor it for you if you want, or you can do it yourself, and it's not really that hard. But so that's the first step I would go through. The other step is, as far as physically, you need to make sure you have some level of physical activity going on. Now, if you already know what you're doing, of course you need to put a workout together. Or again, there's resources available where you can get workouts online. If you've never been active before, or you're not a really active person, something as simple as walking 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. You need to just put something in place that you're going to do. So I think that's the first start, is just assess what you're doing. And then from there, you can kind of build out your position as far as what you're going to do.
I think you're 100% correct. I think a huge mistake is to turn off the sensory overload that we get that's marketing to you. Like it's like you got to shut down the noise, because usually the external factors pushing something to you, they're all selling you on the end result. For some people, that's perfect because they're so far along on their fitness journey that fine tuning in certain areas, they've got the 5.5 pack. They just need that last half pack.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so whether it's the ab roller or it's some other device, it's ideal for them. The 30-day V-Shred or 90-day V-Shred plan might be ideal if you've been working out for a year, you've dropped a lot of weight, and now you really want to tone. But for the person that just is starting out, first of all, I think some of the plans that are out there are excellent.
Mm-hmm.
if you have done the assessment and you know where you are. Then you can select the right plan. Because I do feel like there's one app that I believe, and they've got something for men, for women, regardless of your body and shape. One of the things I love about the plans that are out there is most of them have a really brief intake.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can go and do your height, your weight, your activity frequency level, and set a goal basically. And they'll kick out a customized plan for you. The challenge is, particularly with the apps, the cost,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because most of them are going to charge you from 20 to 25 to sometimes $30 a month
Mm-hmm.
to be, or they'll give you, hey, but if you buy today, it's a $70 or $69 one-time annual fee.
Right.
Either way, it's in your pocket, and you may not know or understand all the benefits you're getting if you haven't done the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think doing the assessment first and knowing where you are and what your goal is critical to drafting your plan. But I would say the other piece that you said that's really key to me is it has to be a combination diet and exercise component.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be one or the other, an either or proposition. Although diet, if you are choosing one or the other, diet is one that will certainly, you can make subtle, small changes, which will have a huge impact and costly, but subtle changes that can have great results. If you just, let's say you took sugar out your diet for a week, you'd be amazed at the results that you'd have 7 days later.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you, if you will notice it
Mm-hmm.
immediately, like, oh, I didn't know I took that much sugar, right? Coffee, you look at the foods that you have that have processed sugar in it, all the cereal, all these other things, and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know. Now you know why it cost you. So I think sensibly adjusting your diet is great. Exercise, you'll find with that helps you deal with what you take out of your diet that you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to burn that off, right? So I think the two together are excellent. Are there plans you recommend personally? Like there are things you've seen or tools or resources that you've used in the past? You say, hey, this was a really good way for me to start. I mean, I know you were a steak lover. When
Mm-hmm.
you went to no meat, was there anything you used that really helped you adopt a vegan diet?
So for me, it's so I'm the type of person that and you know this as you have. I was an athlete through high school and everything like that. So I kind of always had the basic foundational building blocks. Like I understand good foods, bad foods, from a basic standpoint. I'm not a nutritionist by no means, but I know what's good and bad for me from that standpoint. So I've always kind of done it myself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's a couple things that I can say do work. The biggest thing, if you're trying to get off of something, steak,
Mm-hmm.
beef, whatever, you want to try to feel as full as possible. So I mean, you want to do stuff like oats. We talked about oats.
Mm-hmm.
That's a favorite of mine and yours, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. It fills you up, keeps you fuller longer, so you don't feel like right after you eat breakfast, you don't feel like you need to go get a snack immediately, right?
Right.
Stuff like that. For me, when I went vegan, mushrooms became like one of my best friends because
Mm-hmm.
that's like a big replacement type thing. It kind of gives you that feeling you're chewing on. It's weird. It kind of gives you that feeling, that meat type replacement, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that worked for me as well. But I would say for the most part, I mean, there are, people out there. We talked about it last time with the technology. You can reach out to people who you would never meet normally.
Mm-hmm.
There are, I mean, guys who competed in like Olympia competitions. I mean, these are serious bodybuilders, and they're now offering their services. They're retired, and they're now offering their services to do meal prep, training packages, whatever. Now, it's probably not cheap, but
Right. Right.
but it's out there now. But there are also personal trainers available on social media and online that are more affordable, where you
Mm-hmm.
can get your meal plans laid out and things of that nature. So I haven't personally used any of them, but I think the biggest thing to remember is like water. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. You know,
Yeah.
if you can really turn up your water intake, and fruits and vegetables are your best friend. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You don't have to swear off of meat. You don't have to swear off of anything. But you know what's good for you. You know sugar's not good for you. So you know you
Right.
need to the bulk of your diet needs to be good whole foods. That's basically what it boils down to. Stay away from the processed stuff. Stay away from the easy, convenient stuff.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that's the biggest thing I could say.
I love that. And by the way, listeners, we are going to be talking about the DAP 30 plan. That will be up on our website. So you can take a look at that. It has a dietary component, and it has a really easy exercise component with it as well. But for those who are just looking for a place to start, it's a great way to start, and you will see results very quickly. I love that you talk about, and I think one of the things that we discussed um, was juicing. I mean, I'm on, so I don't mind sharing this with you, Daptimers, because we all family. I'm on the Fat Boy Comeback Plan. That's my Health 360 2021 is the Fat Boy Comeback Plan. And so when we talked about it, Dan, I was like, hey, juicing is something I love. One of the reasons I love it is because of what you get in terms of the nutritional value, your fruits and vegetable daily allowances, and the long term benefit. I mean, just everything that comes out from the juicing process. It's not as labor intensive as one might think, and you get so much benefit, and it is filling. But I also love what I've learned about sea moss as an option and what you get with the sea moss. I mean, I think the body needs something like 108, 102, somewhere in there, 102 nutrients, and you get 90 plus of them, 92 of them in sea moss. And when I found the sea moss gel, one, it was affordable. Two scoops of that and 2 tablespoons of sea moss gel in a smoothie. And I got to tell you, man, I have been blown away by what I've noticed just in terms of overall wellness, mobility, all the other additional benefits. I'm starting to realize them. I've been doing it about 6 weeks consistently, and just starting to recognize, man, clarity, I mean, a whole bunch of things. So things like that. There are things that you'll invest in along the way. So I think for some people, cost being an issue, one of the plans that if you are looking for somewhere to start and you want a plan that's going to grow with you and you can grow with, I think it's affordable, and I think the benefits are great. It's Brix Fitness. It's BRIXfitness.com. Brix has got a great story. 340 pounds, I think the guy was, and lost 180 pounds to come down to not only a sensible weight, but build his body up along the way. And he's taken what he's learned, added to what he knew when he started, and put together a really sensible plan that helps people make lifestyle changes. Now, I got to be clear. If you're just looking for the quick fix, I want to fit these jeans this summer, none of this is good for you. None of it, because you're gonna blow up again afterwards. But for the person who says, hey, I want to really live a healthier life, I want to make lasting changes, and you haven't had success and you need to educate yourself along the way, Brix Fitness is an affordable way. If you're not willing to invest in your health and wellness, then none of this is for you anyway, right? You're the person who will, on a night you're feeling really bad about yourself and guilty, you'll respond and buy an ab roller. But, right? Or you'll sign up for, I'm going to get a subscription to that tonight because you're feeling really guilty.
Right.
For the person who really says, you know what, I'm ready to do something about my health and wellness, and you want to invest, visit Brix Fitness site. You can hear his story online. In fact, Big Dan, what I'll do is I'll post the video of his story, which is a short video, on our website too, so listeners can see that. But it's a great story. And the fitness plan he has, you don't need to buy any equipment to get started. This dude is with using your own body weight in a smart way, in a way that is easy for everybody to do, 4 exercises to get you going. And it gets you off to a good start. So I think it's $59, you're in it, you're rolling. And like, if you're going to lose or waste, and you'll waste $59 on fast food trips, over the course of a week. So,
Easy.
that $59 you're investing in killing yourself, or $59 you're investing in living a better life. That's really what it boils down to.
That's the thing that's funny too, man. A lot of times people say, man, I'm going to start eating healthy on Monday. It just costs so much money to eat right. You ever heard that? Like, it costs so much money to eat healthy. And it's like, man, have you seen a package meal at Burger King or McDonald's lately? I think it's like $10, $12 for like a regular meal. So it's like, I mean, come on, man. I mean, you do that 3 times a week, you're there. You know what I mean? 4 times a week, you're there. Right. So, I mean, it's you have to make the decision. I love that you put it that way. You have to make the decision of what you're going to invest in. If you're going to invest in yourself, you're investing in yourself either way, but you're either going to make a good investment or a bad investment.
Absolutely. There are 3 plans that we've talked about on this show during this episode, and I want to highlight them again, Big Dame, for listeners. Bricks Fitness for the person who's looking for a start and really wants to educate yourself to get off to a good start. That is www.bricksfitness.com. You check out their website. We'll have these resources on the Health 360 tab on our website. The second is the 90-day V-Shred. Now, first of all, let me say this. This is not for the novice. I mean, this is for somebody who is an ex-athlete or used to be active and now you want to get back into it, you can do that. Somebody who's been working out for a while, wants to fine tune and tone, this is for you. What I like about it is, again, it's not that expensive. I think it's like $69 or something like that to get started, but comes with meal plan and exercises. He focuses a lot on HIIT training. That's high intensity training that'll get you some targeted workouts. Not a lot of going out, doing a bunch of heavy cardio outdoors, but getting your heart rate up for extended period of time and getting targeted results. And I think it's really useful for people who are trying to tone and shape their bodies. The third is Better Me. Better Me is an app that's going to cost you money, but they'll put a walk plan together for you. So I think Better Me is great for anybody at any stage and at any age. And they have a Better Me for men and a Better Me for women. And I think if you're looking at where you want to get, how do I get more active? This is a good resource. Yep, the app's going to cost you money. But again, it's going to cost you money. Mm-hmm. You're going to either pay money to die or pay money to live a better life. I would take the latter. So trust me, it's worth the investment. And then the last resource that we'll give you will be on our site for people who want to just join us and be a part of what we're doing and connect it a little bit deeper. Big Dame and I've got the DAP 30 plans, 30 days of doing what we call our daily diet best practices. Trust me, Dame and I are doing this. We are accountable to each other with this. There's a juice I do in the morning. We talked about the oatmeal. It's oatmeal recipes that we use and share, salads we eat, and sensible dinner recipe in there and snacks that we frequent. He's more of the date guy than I am. But the dates are great for people who have a sugar fix. Things I think you will run into that may be challenging. Some of you aren't familiar with going out and getting certain melons. So there's some sensible stuff in there. But Big Dame and I at Adapt 30, there's the nutritional side for meals. And then all we're challenging you to do is for 30 days, walk 30 minutes a day, at least 5 times a week. That's really just taking the weekdays and at lunchtime, spend 30 minutes walking. If you don't have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, just get up and walk away from your desk for 30 minutes and come back, right? Whatever you're doing, just give yourself that. And trust me, that'll be awesome. And the last piece we're throwing in there is take at least one day a week, try to carve out some time for 10 minutes, 15 minutes of meditation. And by meditation, I'm not talking about going out there and chanting per se, but giving yourself quiet space to think about you. Think about where you are, what you want to do, some of the things you're dreaming about, just some quiet space for you. 15 minutes a week. That's all we're saying. So that's the DAP 30 plan. Do it for 30 days. Guarantee your life will be a little bit better. Big Dame, great time for us to call out. Fitness is great, but you got to stay clean. We will not have the funk no matter what. Luckily, Diazione is a partner of ours, and Samara Jacobs is doing an amazing job. If you've been with us, this is a young entrepreneur who is coming up on her first teenage birthday. She'll be 13 not long from now, but has for the last 3 years been investing her time with her mother in creating this amazing bath and beauty product, all organic. No chemicals, no synthetic oils, lots of love and attention to creating a creative bath bomb line of products, not just one round ball. You can get them in cupcakes or cookies, or she's got malts and other designs, but amazing fragrances and a great deal of quality. And she also has some awesome sugar scrubs. So check out their website, www.diadsayun.com, and check out the catalog. Buy 10 things. They're all under $10. We can all splurge a little bit. You can be fit, but you also need to be clean. So enjoy them. www.diadsayun.com, 2R1. Big Dame, I know you got one of Big Dame's nuggets of wisdom, some DAP DNA for us. What you got, bro?
Welcome to the principal's office. You're probably used to the principal's office being associated with trouble, but this office is a little different. In this office, we examine life's principles that can hopefully move us to a higher elevation and vibration. So without further ado, today's principle is very simple one, AJ. Very simple, very simple. You know, I try to keep them relatable to the conversation that we had, and this one right here it doesn't get any simpler. I was thinking, as people embark on putting together a plan, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So we've talked about trends, we've talked about fitness trends, diet trends, all these different trends and things like that, and that's great. It's a lot of information out there. But today we talked about actually putting together a plan. And when you put together a plan, that signifies action, right? We're not talking anymore. You have to do. That means when you get up in the morning, you have to eat something different than you ate yesterday. You have to stick to your goal. You can't munch on stuff all day. You have to wait till lunchtime. You have to stick to your healthy snacks. You have to get your walk in. And it's not that bad. But for somebody who hasn't done it before, it's going to get tough. And saying no to certain things is going to be really, really hard because your body has become accustomed to certain things and certain tastes. It's going to be very, very difficult. And I think as we move through this, people need to remember that doing hard things make you stronger. That's the only way to get stronger. If you want to train your body, if you want to get stronger physically, you have to lift weights. You have to lift to failure. You have to do something hard. Your muscles have to be challenged. The same thing with mentally. You have to do things that are hard mentally in order to strengthen your mind, to strengthen your resolve, to strengthen your discipline. So as you embark on your new journey, always remember that doing hard things makes you stronger. So when it gets tough and you're ready to say, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to get that Rocky Road ice cream and I'm just going to indulge for the night. It's just one night. Remember that doing the hard things is what's going to make you stronger. Just because you wrote the plan down and you ate a couple of dates and you had a couple of bowls of oatmeal, that's not going to get you there. It's when it gets hard, overcome that, and you'll get stronger. So doing hard things will definitely make you stronger. Remember that when it gets hard, and that should give you the motivation to push through.
Fire! I love that. I love that. My guy.
This guy here.
This guy. Yo, man, thank you so much for another amazing DAP DNA and an amazing conversation. I always love that. Pete Nice, appreciate you cutting it on the break, bruh. You know the timing of the groove. Three of us would not even come close to enjoying this as much if it were not for you, the Daptime audience. So I appreciate that you guys tune in. We'll tell you what we tell you every time. Share this with 10 people. I know you know 10 people that could benefit from this. And so toss it around. Be sure if you're checking us out on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. I listen to people, Big Dame, and they're throwing that out there throughout the conversation. We don't pollute the conversation that way. But we will tell you at the front end and the back end, when you come in the door, hit that button. When you leave, make sure you hit that button and share this with a bunch of folks. Daptime is all about creating a movement. We want you to be a part of it. If you are not done so already and this is your first time, or maybe you just haven't done it yet, get on over to the website, hit the subscription button, put your email in there. Let us know your thoughts. Give us some feedback. Tell us something that maybe you want us to talk about that we haven't talked about, or maybe there's something we've covered and You've got your own story. If we cover your story in a show, we promise we'll send you a Dap Pack, and you will appreciate it. We're on social media, everywhere you can find most other people, but here's how you find us on Instagram. It'll be at Daptime21. On Twitter at Dap_time, and on Facebook at Daptime. Whatever you do, however you do it, again, share it with 10 other people. I know you know 10 people. Make it a cause that we can all get down with. And now we'll leave you as we always do. When you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, there is your competition. We out.
Peace.